All right, fifth graders, our objective today for math is I can find a common denominator for fractions. So this is something new. I have not taught you this, so this is the first time you've ever probably found a common denominator. So I really need you to pay very close attention to this video of all the videos today. I think that this one's probably the most important for you to pay attention to because math is about to get a little bit hard and tricky. And if we're not paying attention, it might be really hard for you guys to know how to do your work online. So not only am I making this video, but today on our Google Meets, I will also be going over how to find a common denominator. So you'll get it twice. You'll get it once here and then also on Google Meets. So finding a common denominator. So this is on Google Classroom, of course, where everything is. But I have posted two things. I did a common denominators Google Drawings. So this is what your assignment's going to be. And then I also did a multiplication table. So if I were you while you're working, I would keep my multiplication table open in a new tab so that you can go back and forth between the multiplication table and your Google Drawings. So you can have this open and then you can have your common denominators open as well. So the most important thing that I want to start with is if we have two fractions, fifth graders, and I'll go like this. Say I have the fraction 1/3 plus 1/6. The most common mistake that kids make is we think, oh, we just add the tops and we add the bottoms. However, that is not the case. And I want to make that clear right now. We cannot add fractions who do not have the same denominators. Remember, the denominators is the bottom of the fraction. So this is a no-go. I'll show you why in a minute. If I had 1/3 plus 1/3, I could add them because they're the same on the bottom. They have the same denominator. So 1/3 plus 1/3 would simply be 2/3, not 2/6. You only add the top. So the most important thing to remember when we're going to be adding fractions soon is we're only adding the top, the numerators. We never add the denominators. So I'm going to erase. So I'm going to explain why we cannot add 1/3 plus 1/6. So I have 1/3 here and plus 1/6. So if I were to draw a picture of these, and I love fraction bars, you know this about Mrs. Patina, I love to draw pictures for math because math makes sense when we draw pictures. When we don't draw pictures, it's really, really difficult for it to make sense to us. Okay. So I'm just gonna make this a little smaller so they're a little. So here's my thirds. So I'm gonna split that into thirds and I'm gonna show you my sixths. So right now I have thirds and thirds. If I split my thirds in half, I will have 6. Okay, here's the thing. The reason that we cannot add fractions that don't have the same denominator is because the pieces are not the same size. The thirds are simply bigger than 6. I would rather share with 3 people than I would share with 6. So a whole that's split into 6 pieces doesn't make sense. We wouldn't be able to add it with the third pieces because it wouldn't be the same size piece that we're adding. So that's why we can't add, because this one is way smaller than this one, and we want to only add fractions that are the same size. Now, if I were to add 1/3 plus 1/3, those are the same size. And yeah, I could add those ones. Okay, so moral of the story, we're gonna erase that really quick. Okay, so I'm gonna show you, well, what if we have to add them? What are we gonna do? We're gonna have to find a common denominator. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna dive right into finding a common denominator. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited to teach you this. It's one of my favorite things to teach for math. So it's the time to focus is now. All right, so common denominators. So the first one is I gotta figure out what my two denominators are that I gotta find one that's the same for. So in 1/6 plus 2/3, what are the denominators? 3 and 6. Not 1 and 2, 3 and 6, the ones on the bottom. So I'm gonna start by copying down 3 here and 6 here. And I'm going to draw a line right here because I'm about to make a table from, you guessed it, multiplication table. So how I'm going to find a common denominator is I have to find a number that they both have in common. That's why it's called a common denominator. So what I'm going to start doing, I'm going to start counting by 3s. And then I'm going to start counting by 6s. And I'm going to see what my common denominator is. Okay, so now if I don't know my 3s, this is where the multiplication table comes in handy. I can go back over to the multiplication table and I can go, 3, I'm going to circle, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Okay, so I'm just going to do the first 5 so far. And then I'm going to do the 5 on the bottom. So I've got 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. So I counted by 3s 5 times to get to 15. Now on the bottom, what do you think I'm going to count by? If you're thinking 6s, you're absolutely correct. Now if I don't know my 6s, I'm going to go to my multiplication table and figure out what it is with 6s. So I go to row 6, and I start with 6. I go 6, 12, 18, 24, and 30. So I'm going to start doing that. So we've got 6, 12, 18, 24, and 30. So this is the fun part, 5th graders. I've counted by 3s and I've counted by 6s. Now I'm going to look at the top and the bottom here and see which number they have in common. So let's see here. They both need, only 3 has a 3, but 6 and 6. So what do you think my common denominator is? It's the number that they both have the same. So 3 has a 6 and 6 has a 6. So my common denominator is going to be 6. But notice something else, 5th graders. They also have 12 in common. So here's the thing, 5th graders. You want to go with the smallest one so that you don't have to simplify your fraction later. So what's smaller, 6 or 12? 6. So that's going to be my least common denominator. So I'm going to go back over my Google Drawings, and all you simply do is you double click inside the box and you type the common denominator is 6. All right, so now we get to do 7 and 4. This one's a fun one. Actually, yeah, we'll do 7 and 4. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and erase this. So on 7 and 4, my denominator is the bottom of the fraction. So how many pieces is the whole split into? So I've got 7ths and I've got 4ths. I'm on number 2 right here. So I am going to make a table with 7 and with 4. 7 on top. And draw a line. I'm trying to do this kind of quick. I'm not fast with drawing on Google Drawings. Okay. So I've got 7 as my first denominator, 4 is my second. So now I'm going to try and figure out my common denominator. So I'm going to start counting by 7s. Well, dang it, I don't know my 7s facts. I really do, everyone. But I'm going to pretend I'm a 5th grader that does not know my 7s facts. I'm going to go to my multiplication table, and I'm going to count by 7s. I've got 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to count by 7, 14, 21, and 28, and 35. Okay, so now I'm going to count by 4s on the bottom. So I can go to my 4s column if I don't know my 4s facts and start counting by 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. I might have just said the number. Not going to say anything though. Okay, I'm going to count by 4s. So I'm going to go 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Okay, I still don't have a common denominator, so do you think I'm going to have to keep counting by 4s? Absolutely. Next 4 multiple is 24. Then I have 28. All right, let's look which number is the same on both sides for 7s and for 4s. What do they have in common? They both have a 28, and that's the least common one. I'm sure they have another one in common, but I'm not going to keep going because that would take forever. So then I would go here and I would type 28. So 5th graders, to do this assignment, you're going to need 2 things. You're going to need a scratch piece of paper and a pencil to make your charts for your common denominators. And you're also going to need your multiplication chart, which I attached for you. Or you have one in your math student workbook if you want to use that one. It's on the very front cover. I put that in your Ziploc baggie of things. I will teach this again during our class meeting, but I hope that this is a quick enough tutorial for those of you that want to start and begin. You will do all of these. You will find the common denominator of 3 and 15, of 12 and 10. Ooh, that's a good one. 1, 5, 9, and 3. 2, 9, and 6, 20, and 4. 20 and 4, that one's going to be tricky. So we'll see how we do. All right. Good luck, 5th graders.